Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right. I am John Palacio.
And I'm Marlene Cuellar, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. It's such a beautiful morning out, Marlene. My God.
Sun is back.
The sun is back indeed. The sun, I don't know. I think he took a hiatus. Wear a big hat and say, "Hey, I know they're on that today."
Yeah.
But today he's actually back, and we're so glad that the weather is beautiful. For the time being, we know that it's going to be a big weekend, and what the weather is going to be for that, we'll be checking in on that a little later on, but nonetheless, Marlene, it's beautiful, and I'm so happy to be back right here in the throne.
And on Hump Day, of course, we
indeed.
are middle of the week. We got to get through today, and then you slide on down into the weekend.
Indeed, and as per usual, it's always about what's buzzing out there. There's so many things we could talk about, Marlene. And when we talk, it could be regional, it could be international. There's so many things that are going on right now across this world, and a lot of people are actually trying to put their heads together in terms of what in the world is going on.
Yeah.
But I'd like to start right here at home. There's so many violent crimes that are actually occurring at this particular point, and you wonder what's going on there. But nonetheless, I think one of the biggest stories from yesterday, Marlene, is the fact that Jif, we know you.
Before we get to
and
Jif,
like,
though,
you want to go somewhere before that?
Yeah, no.
Because we need to talk about
I
that.
think
My
right
goodness.
now everybody's just kind of paying attention to the news in the U.S. and it's one of those stories that just will without a doubt resonate with people across the globe. When you talk about babies being robbed of their lives, it's just something that we cannot wrap our minds around. I watched the images yesterday of the parents going in trying to find out if their child is alive, and I know up until earlier this morning, some of those parents still have not gotten confirmation. They're being asked for DNA samples to be able to confirm whether or not their child is actually one of the victims, because of the impact of the weapon itself. It's difficult to be able to just use facial recognition.
That is a tragedy, Marlene, and it's something that we've been seeing rearing its head in the U.S. More so often than not. And a lot of people, again, have been wondering what in the world is actually going on. This is definitely one of those, like you mentioned, and started off by saying that it is a tough way for children to actually lose their lives. Look, Mar, you know I've got my crowd, and when it comes to my girls being 4 and 11, it's hard to think or not see them right there next to you, and what parents are actually going through, or those parents are actually going through in the U.S. It's a tough situation. You can't even think about it, And for somebody to just go on up to a school, elementary school, and just try to waste lives like that in a manner such, what's going on?
Yeah, and it's tough. And when I watch the U.S. outlets as they report on it, one of the key things they keep on going back to is that this is not an anomaly. This isn't a strange thing. It happens.
It happens.
So just last week they were talking about another mass shooting. So it's such a frequent occurrence. This one, of course, is one of the deadliest that they've seen in a while. And the fact that it's young children really does make it difficult for all of America, and as I said, people across the world just watching and saying, how can someone go in and take away 19 lives of babies? And then you had 2 teachers so far that have been reported killed, some trying to save the children.
Yeah. One of those shot was actually the alleged perpetrator's grandmother. Shot his own grandmother as a teacher who is a part of that particular school, and just went out there to just carry out a massacre.
Yeah.
These are stories that, to be honest with you, this is my honest opinion. I had the conversation last night. In terms of even broadcasting it, it comes across, this is for me, Mar, please. It comes across as an idea for people to think, you know what, I want to harm a lot of people before I am taken out because I feel that something is wrong with my mind, or I know that something is wrong with me, but this is what I need to do. It's hard to even think about it, Marlene. Yeah. And we were in a country where we follow a lot of northern media and how things are happening out there. Yeah. We need to continue to be safe here.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's just so interesting, and what you're saying is a part of in reporting the news that we always talk about. There's something that's terrible that takes place, and for a long time, and you see a clear difference in the coverage yesterday. Most of the channels that you turned on to did not say the name of the shooter. They said the shooter, the suspect, they know the name, the person has been confirmed, but the purpose of not focusing exclusively on the perpetrator in this case is simply because sometimes that's giving them all the glory. That's the name you'll remember the most. Yes. When you really should be remembering those who performed heroic acts, those who lost their lives, and that's really, yesterday I was really stunned by it. Everyone had confirmed the identity of the shooter, but they did not call him by name moving forward because the focus is not on them, and it's not a moment of glory for them as well.
It's not. But you're totally right. And of course, that's one of the things that we carry on here at 5 as well. We don't, when it comes to news like that, it's tough to broadcast, but at the same time, we follow all protocol in making sure that the story, of course, is passed on. But at the same time, we're not providing glory to anybody when it comes to such thing. And like I mentioned, Marlene, every weekend, these are things that are reoccurring in the U.S. And there's so many studies saying that the pandemic might have been, or this person's mental health is not up to par. But we need help. If we need help, and this is for the wider public here at home, if you need help, or if you feel that you're not in a great spot mentally, and we talk to a lot of people about it, then have the conversation. Have a conversation. Try to go and see a medical professional and try to get back, into that space that you feel much more safer with. And that's just one of the news. We had to start there because of the impact, especially for the fact that, it was children that were killed at that school.
Yeah. Right? So, of course, that investigation, I'm sure it's going to be, the investigation is ongoing with that, and we'll find out more about motives behind it as we move forward, whether it's mental illness, whether it's just, some people are just evil.
Yeah, it's just
some people are really, they may have had tough lives, but they're just evil.
Because the one there in Buffalo, New York, upstate New York, was actually a hate crime. It was somebody who felt, you know what, these people are not supposed to be in my space, and so what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to try to eliminate as much as possible. So we know these things. It's seriously, Mar. It's serious,
But you know why? I think even for us, so many of us have family members that are living in the United States.
Yes.
The estimates for Belizeans living in the diaspora at times have equaled out to the number of people living in Belize.
Here.
We all have, brother, sister, ma, pa, granny, grandpa, uncle, aunt, cousin that lives in the States. And so what happens there, it's absolutely important to us.
Yeah, it is. And we will continue to watch these things and, of course, put forth these stories for you so you know exactly what's going on across the world. Speaking across the world, and then again, another buzz. Yesterday, I went to one of the bigger grocery chains here in the city, and I saw one of my friends with Jif peanut butter. I said, boy, they're recalling this thing, He was like, no, we changed that one.
Oh, they went back to return.
They went back to return, and they actually was able to change, and I'll tell you why. Because they're actually a series of serial numbers that you look forward to in case of, so you know that is the one or around that line that they're actually trying to recall. But it says, during the course of the day, public health officers have been visiting major supermarkets across the country to remove a series of Jif creamy peanut butter from shelves due to potential salmonella contamination. Now, these products were with lot code number 1. Listen up. If you've got yours in your refrigerator or your pantry or top of the fridge, go get it down and listen up to these codes. If you see these codes, 1274425 through to 2140425, those, of course, you need to take them back, all right?
Yeah.
If you've got any along that line, there we go, there we go. You need to take those back because there is a potential for salmonella contamination.
Yeah.
That's a serious situation, Mark.
And, you know, companies have recalls all the time for products and contaminations. The fact that the Ministry of Health has put out this warning means that, in fact, they have traced some batches of these contaminated products in the country. So it means that you have to be extremely careful when you're going out to buy your peanut butter, especially if you're buying this brand. This specific brand is the one they're talking about. And as you said, you know people who did in fact find peanut butter with that serial number.
Yeah,
and it's good that the stores are taking it back.
Yep,
yeah.
Yep, they're taking them back, and of course they're changing them. That's one of the bigger chains here in the city.
Yeah.
But if you've got the Jif peanut butter, you make sure.
Did you check yours?
And you know, mine's the oldest, you know.
Yeah.
I know, you know, that serial number. But, you know, I was like, man, I think I got my Jif, you know. So I need to check it out. But I'm in the
Your kids have moved past the age of peanut butter and jam, right?
They don't want that. They don't want it. They look at it and like, whoo-hoo. That's like no for them. But nonetheless, we want for folks to be very cognizant of it. And for our relevant authorities who have pointed it out, I'd like to say kudos to them for doing such a great job in making sure that the citizens and of course, the Belizean public are safe, because everybody loves peanut butter. Well, I don't know about the kids. They make peanut butter. I don't know about the kids right now, but back in the day, we used to love peanut butter. Put it on tortilla, or you name it, we put on the mar. And that's definitely one of the news that's buzzing there. So if you've got any of those, you want to check it out, make sure that you check out the serial number to make sure that you are in the clear. All right?
And that is definitely a legitimate story. It's not a scam.
Legit.
It went out by reliable sources. And so we have to say that quite a story coming out yesterday. Speaking about scams, unfortunately, there's a story coming out from Trinidad saying that Prime Minister Rowley has reported, you know, it's really, I think it wouldn't have come to light if he didn't announce that, in fact, that he expected to be receiving grants. He put out the announcement on his Facebook page that he almost fell victim to one of those scams. And John, you know, I read it and I said to myself, man, it's hard now. Like, you have to be extremely cautious about any message, any email. They call you on WhatsApp now. All of these people who are trying so hard to scam you out of money.
But you know, there's a growing trend now, and what's happening right now is that scammers are actually clamoring to these regional leaders, or to these leaders, and they're actually fronting like different or big foundations. And the thing about that, though, is that especially when it comes to foundations such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, that's a huge foundation. And these people around, those foundations are always trying to fund, our regional brothers and sisters in trying to alleviate poverty in these countries. And so when, as a leader, you're seeing somebody that you normally communicate with, and this number is actually communicating with you, telling you what to do so you could eventually receive these funds, then why would you want to be alarmed? But it was until he was told, hey, you need to deposit this money in a
that's when the red flags
was when the red flag came out and said, no, we don't know this account at all. We need to do this the right way. So much so that even our own prime minister, he actually flagged it as well. He was contacted and said, yes, he's aware of the situation.
Yeah, it's, Here's the thing, though, because I've seen the Bill and Melinda Gates one, but clearly if they send it to me, they don't have any reason to be gifting me money. But depending on what you do for a living, you may actually find it to be credible. But I think that when it comes to deciphering between legitimate messages and scam messages, it has become increasingly hard. And sometimes you just click a link or you download a document and suddenly your email or your phone is being used to send out these scam messages as well. So it's everything that you see that seems, if it's too good to be true, somebody saying, I want to give you money. Pat the brakes a bit there.
Send me some money, make I could give you some money.
But see, they don't start that way. They don't start that way. They start with, I want to give you, but I need your banking information to deposit, but then you have to pay me something so I can pay for the deposit. So it never starts with just give me your bank account. They've gotten a lot smarter.
And it's one of those things because we've been through various what would be training in terms of how you detect these things, and they're phishing. There's so many other things that you could detect, and it goes by a certain level. So phishing is definitely one of those. And what people do is that they call you up or they send you an email portraying to be somebody close to you and giving you certain keywords that would make you feel like, you know what, yes, I do know this person. And as long as you send your information, any information at all, they can decipher what your bank account number is.
I can recall reporting on the news before where people who were well known in Belize had to reach out to us and say, can you please let people know not to send money for me? I'm safe in Belize, because there's an email that went out that says I'm stranded in Africa. Please send me money. They've taken my passport and my bank cards and if it's someone that travels a lot, you're thinking, oh wow, they really need
There
help.
you go.
So,
so what these people do is that they're fishing for your information.
Be careful.
Be very careful, and it could pop up at any time. One of the things that they do is that they target big organizations. Then they eventually hold their info ransom. And then if you'd like to get your information back, and this is when they put a surcharge, hey, you need this information, then you need to deposit so much money. And that's how these guys do these things. And it's very, very important for us to always be on the lookout, because you never know who it's going to be.
I think it's just proceeding with skepticism. If somebody suddenly wants to be your friend, or somebody suddenly wants to gift you money, I wouldn't buy that one at all, right?
Johnny, you want 5 million? Send me $1 million, make a send you 5 million.
All right. So that's a bit of what's buzzing. There's a lot more happening, but of course you can catch it in our newscast tonight at 6 p.m. We got to get moving into our show for today, and that means it's time for our eye opener. And our eye opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. We forget how powerful our words are. And when we make promises, it is up to us to make sure we keep our words sacred. Ever since human beings could speak to one another, they've been making promises and keeping them or not keeping them. Those who keep their promises are regarded as people of integrity, while those who don't keep their promises are regarded as people who at best can't be taken seriously and at worst can't be trusted. Sometimes we forget how powerful our words are, and we use them haphazardly or unconsciously, creating expectations that are never fulfilled, leaving disappointment and distrust in our wake. We may ask to be released from any promises made to ourselves or others in our past or future lives, consciously or unconsciously, that are holding us back from fulfilling our greatest good. We may ask that love, light, and healing be sent to any souls who suffered from our inability to be true to our word, including ourselves. We can ask for wisdom to do our best, and from this point forward, to be true to our word, promising only what we truly intend to deliver. The resulting clear conscience and liberated energy will illustrate this truth. We are only as good as our word.
Yeah. I feel I've heard this before. I've heard this before, and I could reflect back to a few years ago that we made mention of this one. My thing is, you live by your word, man, and don't be afraid to say no. because you're not able to promise. But one of the things that we like to do, and it's only natural we're going to do it, especially for people who we hold very close to us and we don't want to disappoint. I think that's the biggest thing, Mar. We're afraid to disappoint. And by being afraid to disappoint, what you do is that you divert from the truth within yourself, which is to keep up with your word and being able to say no. Look, it's not a bad word. No just simply means for that person, next opportunity. If you're not able to deliver, if you feel like you're not able to deliver, just say no. But the resulting clear conscience and liberated energy will illustrate the truth. This is a big statement.
Yeah.
We must learn to live by our word, and especially when you promise to pick something and you don't deliver, that's serious. They hold you to it, you feel bad about it, but you were not living up to your word. It simply means that you were not able to say no. That's a bad feeling.
All right. That's a great eye-opener for this morning.
Yes, ma'am.
And we do hope, of course, I know this is one of those lessons that they've been teaching us our entire life, you know, be someone who is going to keep their word. And, you know, I think it's a lesson that we can keep on talking about. But we got to get moving into our weather update for today so we can find out how long the sun is going to stick around this time, right? Or how quickly it'll get back up to extremely high temperatures.
Yep, that simply means that he'll be wearing his hard hat.
That's right.
Definitely. So we'll be taking a look at the weather. And we've got that now, so you know exactly what to expect throughout the day and for the next few days.
All right, so our general situation for today is for a moderate east to southeasterly airflow that will prevail over the area. The 24-hour forecast is for sunny with a few cloudy spells today and partly cloudy to cloudy tonight. A few showers and isolated thunderstorms will occur over inland areas this afternoon and mainly over the south tonight. Otherwise, showers will be isolated. The winds are moving from the east to the southeast at 10 to 20 knots, and the sea state is moderate to rough. And there is an advisory that operators of small crafts are advised to exercise caution for locally rough seas at times. The high temperatures for today?
Yeah, the high temperatures for today will be as high as 88 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 92 inland, and 76 up in the hills. And will be falling as low as 81 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 76 inland, and 68 up in the hills.
All right, and the outlook for Thursday and Thursday night is for a few showers and isolated thunderstorms developing around the country during the day and then mostly over the south during the night.
All right.
So that is our update for this morning.
Yep, now you know exactly what to expect. Sunny
yeah.
skies. We were looking forward to it, but I'll tell you what, I welcome that rain that we had the other day.
Yeah, I
cool
felt
nights,
good.
lots
Yeah.
of work, limitless those nights, huh? Because it was very hot leading up to, but nonetheless, we know exactly what to expect throughout the next few days.
All right.
All right, so what are we going to discuss this morning? Very important topics, as per usual. That is what we do. Primarily, in the first segment, what we'll be doing is that we'll be having a conversation with the Minister of Agriculture. He attended Agri-Forum in Guyana. He'll be in to tell us all about it and what are the plans for Belize's agricultural sector and much more. That's going to be the first segment.
All right, and the second part of the show, I know you guys spoke with him before the competition started. Alex Evans returns, and that's because he's made it to the semifinal round of the Panorama competition. He's the first Belizean to compete in this contest, and now he's headed into the semifinals this weekend, so we're going to get an update from him.
Yes, the camera is on me. Alex, me and April would tell you. So he'll be in to discuss that with us, all right? And in the third segment this morning, accessing mental health service in Belize, something that I alluded to this morning in terms of having the conversation. But how can you access mental health services? We'll be having professionals in to tell you exactly what to, how to, and when to do so. All right? And let me see.
That's what we have in store for this morning.
Yeah, that's what we've got in store for this morning. Oh, the switch up for me, man.
We're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back,
of course, we'll be joined, or actually we'll be diverting directly into our first segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I'm always on the go, and the country is my home. So when I want to get away from it all, I immerse myself with my favorite movies, all from the new Smart Stream app. It's easy to use this service. Purchase your movies from the app and use your mobile data, Smart Stream data packages, or smart broadband to stream and enjoy. Be like me and stream on the go with Smart Stream.
Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank Contactless MasterCard Debit Card. Introducing our Standard Debit and MasterCard Platinum Debit Cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
Keep your business running efficiently with computer products and accessories from Cellular World. We are the largest electronics stores in Belize, providing business solutions from trusted brands including Dell, HP, Lenovo, and Samsung, just to name a few. Our range of business PCs and electronics include desktop computers, laptops, desktop monitors, mouses, battery backups, smart TVs, and computer accessories that are backed up by warranties to keep your business always running smoothly. Call or visit us at any of our 5 Cellular World locations in Belize City, Belmopan, or San Pedro, and let our knowledgeable team help you to find the right solutions. Cellular World, low prices, more choices.
Applying for a Social Security sickness benefit? Here's what you need to know. A complete claims package includes 1. Sickness claim form fully completed by the claimant and medical doctor. 2. Salaries record form completed by the employer or HR representative. 3. Proof of bank account such as bank book, online banking, or statement displaying your name and account number. To submit via email, you need to take a clear photo or scan of the documents and email to claims@socialsecurity.org.bz. Be sure to include your full name, social security number, and benefit type in the subject line of the email. Or you can drop off all completed forms into the Dropbox slot at the nearest branch office. Deadline to submit is 14 days from your first day of illness. All forms are available on the website at www.socialsecurity.org.bz. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5 Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
And welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're moving now into our first segment for the morning, and this one is going to be a conversation about AgriForum and other updates, of course, from here in Belize. The Minister of Agriculture, Jose Abelardo Mai, took a trip to Guyana, where AgriForum was held. And he's about to tell us all about what unfolded there. So here he is with us. He's actually in the screen. He's actually in the screen with us this morning. Minister of Agriculture, Food Security and Enterprise. Good morning, sir, and welcome.
Good morning, John. Good morning, Marlene. It's wonderful to be with you again to discuss some of the things happening in the agro-productive sector in Belize and in the region.
It's nice to have you in with us. This is definitely one of those topics that I feel are most important because while loving tourism and the fact that people come to our country, we must be secure with our food, making agriculture the most important for our country. So let's start off, though, by talking about AgriForum and what it was like in that South American country of Guyana. What was it like for you? Give us an update.
Actually, it was an agro-investment forum which we attended. That delegation was led by Honorable John Busana, the Prime Minister of Belize. I was also a part of that team, along with Cabinet Secretary, policy analyst for the Ministry of Agriculture, and private sector. We had Belize Marketing Development Corporation assisting, along with Big H Juices from Belize, from Cairo. So we had a very interesting time in Guyana. There was the opening ceremony, which most of the heads of state delivered very important messages to those who attended. You know that there is a plan to reduce the food imports into the region. The objective is to reduce the import of food by 25% in 2025. So it's 25 by 2025.
Yeah.
So that is the common goal that everybody is looking at. The food import bill into the CARICOM, I'm told, is about $6 billion. And they want to reduce that by 25%. So everybody was speaking the same language. We have to produce more food. We have to produce more of what we consume. We have to trade within our region and stop the unethical practices of I should say, importing into the region from extra-regional sources without paying the CET. And that is something that has been happening regularly in the region. We spoke about the challenges that we are faced within the region in production, in technology, transfer of technology research, and of course, the logistics of transport moving from one state to another. In particular, moving products from Belize to the other Caribbean countries. It is a challenge logistically, and the high cost is something that is being looked at this time.
Yeah, and I want to jump in there because you have gone on record to say that why essentially invest energy in exporting to CARICOM when we have Central American markets so closely? And of course, it comes with a lot of criticism because we know a country like Belize, we need all our relationships that we have in place. How confident do you feel that the messages that were delivered at the Agri-Investment Forum, that CARICOM is serious about improving the relationships when it comes to trade? As you quite rightly noted, we have had a number of instances. Sugar is the most well-known, that's at this CCJ level, but it has been challenging for us to access markets in CARICOM.
Yeah, I have been, I think, very bold enough to say that, and I maintain my position and many cabinet and those who are involved in the trade business find it extremely challenging to establish good trade relationships with the Caribbean countries. One is that the trade ethics is not what is expected. Two, the costs are excessively high, especially in the last year. Ocean freight has gone up by 300% in some instances.
Wow.
And three, logistically, it is a nightmare trying to find a vessel that leaves from Belize to Jamaica and Trinidad, the biggest islands, is not an easy task. There exists no vessel, no shipping line that goes directly there. It has to go through Miami and then down back into the Atlantic. Now, this is a nightmare for us, in particular Belize. Belize, at this moment, is the breadbasket of the CARICOM. There are only 2 CARICOM countries that have that ability to produce enough food so that we can trade. One is Belize, and Guyana, that has the surface area to expand agriculture. We so far have been doing a lot of it. We have been doing olive and kidney beans for the CARICOM. We've been doing black eyed beans. We've been doing soybean oil. We have vegetables. We have fruits to a certain extent. But trade has not occurred much with CARICOM. When I say much, I mean relatively.
Yeah.
Now, we also have the meats, poultry, beef, and pork. Now, I was visiting the booths and I came across an enterprise, a business that produces broilers. They produce broiler chicks, broiler eggs, broilers, and the meat. And I was surprised to know the price is like 3 times the price in Belize of poultry meat. And I was saying to them, but, how come you are selling so expensive? To us, it's very expensive. And they said, well, because we import all our corn. And I said, but don't you produce corn? They said, we produce no corn.
Wow.
None. Now, and I would say this with all due respect to our colleagues in the CARICOM. In 2022, a country in this Western Hemisphere, the Americas, not being able to produce corn, something is seriously wrong. Corn being the most anciently cultivated staple, and a country in 2022 does not have the ability to produce corn, I think that something is seriously wrong. And CARICOM states that are in this position need to do something about it if they are serious about food security. You see, much of the CARICOM states put a lot of emphasis on tourism.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they tend to forget the agriproductive sector. So everything is imported. Obviously, it will be expensive. So it's a challenge for them. We on this hand in Belize are fortunate to have good farmers, hardworking farmers, arable land, political will, and we have the wherewithal to produce food for our local consumption, and we have some for export. We produce all the corn we consume, we produce all the beans we consume, we produce all the rice we consume, we produce all the poultry, all the beef, all the pork that we consume. Now, this is what we eat every day. If a country can do this every day, they should be in a better position. Right? And we also have to export. So we have a very large advantage over the CARICOM industry. Our problem is that we geographically sit on the west of these islands, far away from where the trade route occurs.
Yeah.
And that is our main challenge.
Is that the reason why you did allude to trying to have a stronger trade relation with Mexico and Central America?
This is a no-brainer, right? I sit from where I sit right now at this moment at 45 minutes from the Mexican border in the north, Chetumal, Quintana Roo. And from Chetumal to Cancun is 4 hours, 5 hours drive. I sit from the western border right now at 3 hours. In 4 hours, I could be in Guatemala at a fraction of a cost of moving from here to Miami, Miami to Jamaica or Trinidad, who are the largest trading islands. Why would I want to spend thousands of dollars on ocean freight, cutting into my profit margin, when I could trade with Mexico. There are 17 million people in the CARICOM region, 11 of which is Haiti, and the rest is the other CARICOM islands. 18 million people live to the west of us, Guatemala, and 123 million people live in Mexico. Yeah. Cancun alone is 1 million people. Chetumal is 300,000 people. So, I mean, this is a no-brainer, right? So, while the mention of investment in a vessel or vessels that could move up and down the Atlantic within the Caribbean islands trading, again, that's only plan that they have. Yeah. They don't speak much of Belize. We are to the west, so we are a little off track.
So it's still additional transportation that would have to be incurred.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, if I am a businessman, and I have a market in Mexico or Guatemala or El Salvador, would you not choose to go this route instead of going all around the logistical nightmare to the CARICOM? No. For trade matters, it becomes increasingly challenging and difficult for the Belizean people. In other matters, we wish to collaborate with the CARICOM. Right now,
as we start to move on to other topics, just what is your hope with having had the CARICOM meeting, the CARICOM SICA meeting, hearing the presentation at the Agri-Investment Forum, the commitment to reduce the food import bill for the entire region? Do you foresee better access, you call it, and less unethical practices within the region that will benefit Belize in the near future?
Well, Marlene, I'll be honest with you. All the speeches were beautiful. They were lovely speeches. I'm always impressed with the speeches with the CARICOM heads of state. Yeah. Wonderful speeches. It is left to be put in practice. Will they put it in practice? We are prepared to trade with them. We have 180 containers of kidney beans, which immediately after the agriculture show, I need to start moving. I already have contacts in Miami who are making contacts for us to see if we can move that kidney beans. But I am hopeful that this will occur someday. They are our trading partners. We are a part of CARICOM. But we have to convert the beautiful speeches and words into action. Or else it's only words and rhetoric. Yeah. And we'll go nowhere. It blows in the wind.
And in the meantime, though, I know you've been focusing on Central America, and there is a developing issue, Minister, that I want your response to. The access for cattle exports that has now been opened in the West, it is causing a shortage locally. In other words, selling to local producers is not as profitable as selling to exporters. And now we have a situation where we're starting to face a shortage. Are you aware of the situation, and what are your comments on this?
I did read comment, and we did discuss in our senior staff meeting or coordinators meeting, the statement that was shared by one of the businessmen. Was important. And I asked my officers to do a quick survey of the availability of meat in the country. And by no way, shape or form, that information is accurate. We have enough beef, we have enough pork, we don't have surplus, we have enough pork, we have enough poultry, we have enough sheep for the country. Again, this is a law of supply and demand. If the neighboring countries are offering you a good price, obviously locally the price will tend to go up. Now why it was important for us, and that's why in the early days, just after election, when we made the decision to continue the trade to Guatemala, our vision was never to make that informal trade, I should say, long term. Why? and I said this before, Jose Pucha, the previous CEO, had said, and I remember him clearly said, we cannot build an industry off an informal market. So our plan was to have the market continue informally while we work day and night to ensure that the market in Mexico is formalized. And we have done so. I can say with a high level of certainty that we have achieved what we wanted to achieve, or what we said we achieve in our political campaign, to open the markets to Mexico formally so that we can develop this industry. Now, when Guatemala was buying, they set the price. The price was at $1.50, $1.60, $1.15. It was low, so low. When we opened the market to Mexico, that price went up to $1.75, $1.80. Mexico started to buy more from us. It went up to $2.10.
Okay.
With the announcement of the Mexican president last week and a half, last 2 weeks, Guatemala now is saying, well, the price is going up because the Mexicans are paying now $2.50 to $2.10. The Guatemalans came and said, look, I will pay you $2.50 now. The Mexicans are paying now $2.52. So the competition is good, it's healthy for the farmers.
But
Because
then
at the end of the day,
And you're totally right, which is definitely great on a rebuilding economy for our country. But but we could clearly sense the trickle down effect in terms of how it's going to affect the plates, because there is the grab from Mexico, there is the grab from Guatemala, which of course put our farmers in a great position for them to make some money. But for the wider public here in Belize, it will eventually raise some cost. What are your thoughts on that?
well, that's, again, this is the law of supply and demand. We need to discuss this more in depth with our policy unit and to see where we can strike a balance. I don't believe, let me tell you something. In the peak of the COVID era, in 2020, you will recall that the farmers were literally giving away meat. Do you remember?
Yeah.
You know, 150 a pound. Now, farmers lost millions of dollars. Nevertheless, they kept going. Today, the farmers has the opportunity to make a little extra buck. Right now, is it wise for us to tell the farmer, well, listen, you need to lower your price to the local consumer or to the exporter? To the exporter, maybe not, right? But I want you to understand the farmer's position while bearing in mind the consumer's position.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the amount of beef consumed in the country, it is a very small amount, not a lot. Nevertheless, the price right now is going up to the consumers. This is something that has to be addressed quickly. I don't think it will last for too long because the price will even out. But it is something that needs careful study.
Let me just jump in here
Sure.
because I imagine because this informal trade, which was something that you and the government firmly stood behind from the time you got into office, because this is something now that is a widely accepted practice, it does change how the farmers will in fact sell their cattle. How do you control this? If there is a price war between Mexico and Guatemala, who pays the better price gets the product, while the local producers have been accustomed to what was the starting price? You said, I think, $1.15, and now it's up to $2 plus. The local producers can't compete in that price war.
No, but the 150 Marlene was a special price at the time because there was a surplus of pigs on the market and beef, and they couldn't sell, so farmers were desperate and started literally giving away the meat. They lost a lot of money during that time. Now, we have to be very careful because not only beef has gone up, and you will know that.
Yeah.
Flour is going up. The bread makers are fighting to, rightly so, they have high costs and they want to increase their price. So we are studying that in cabinet right now. 123 oil, which is the most common oil used, has gone up. No. 123 oil pays no duty, no GST, and no environmental tax on it. None at all. These are completely zero rated products, but the price has gone up on the market. Fertilizers, urea has gone up by 120%. Ocean freight by 20%. All the agro inputs have gone up. These are things that are not in control of it's not in the government's hands to control. So everything has gone up. Now, beef is no different, and rice will be no different. We have to find ways to mitigate the effects of the rising costs. And this is not a national thing. This is an international phenomenon. Right? But countries need to have their home-made remedy to mitigate these effects. So this is what we need to put in practice. Right? Looking at for example, at the bread situation, I was studying it yesterday again, looking at the cost of the producer, of the bakers, and to see how we can address it. And there are many things that I say, well, maybe we need to reduce the import duty on plastics or packaging material, on bread stabilizers. I think it's something that they use in the bread industry, and look at what duty they pay and work on that, or look at some form of subsidy for bread because everybody eats bread, especially in the police city, I understand. So these are different things, and beef is no different. If we can find a way to lower the price to the local market, we will do so. But again, it is dialogue and negotiation. Say again?
You said that you had a meeting yesterday about it. I imagine you're going to be diving deeper into this issue.
Obviously, we have to huddle. We have to study the situation, analyze it.
Let me use this example because we've seen this before. Fish, for example, the premium prices on the islands where they'll sell it in restaurants and tourism. So in fact, the majority of the fish that you'd get otherwise is imported when you're buying locally. So this is something that has happened before. I think the question though is, you recognize that it will be more difficult for producers to match the price being paid by Mexico and Guatemala. If they in fact have to compete with these rising prices, that trickles down to consumers who, as you rightly pointed out, are already paying elevated prices for just about everything else in our typical food basket.
We have to monitor the situation, Marlene. We have to. I suspect it is only for a short time, and I have my reason for that. But it is something that we are studying. We have discussed it yesterday at a coordinators meeting. Okay. Especially the comment that said that there's scarcity of beef, and there's no scarcity of beef. That is totally misleading. But we are worried about the prices. We are concerned about it, and we are analyzing it. We're studying it carefully. And just after the agriculture show, we'll sit down and with the producers and probably the processors to find some common ground on how we can move forward with this. Yeah. But I do share people's concern that the cost of living is something to worry about, not only here but in the region.
Indeed, Minister. And of course, one of the other pressing topics is the fact that we are rapidly approaching the hurricane season, which of course we deem the rainy season within our country. And I'm sure at this particular point that meeting must have been had with your farmers in terms of how are we going to deal with in the event there are floods or in the event there is a deep drought, climate change. What's the discussion surrounding the hurricane season or the rainy season with respect to safeguarding what we've got here in the agricultural sector?
The climate change, I think, is a topic discussed globally, but experts believe that our region is one to be affected much by the effects of climate change, being it drought or being in floods. We our extension officers are being trained in climate smart agriculture. We have been having hundreds of seminars, workshops with farmers, training them on new or relatively new concept of climate smart agriculture, resilient agriculture, and things that we should do. I will tell you, and I'll share with you that we are not where we should be at in climate smart agriculture.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult to change a farmer overnight from doing certain things the way they've done so for 50 years and overnight change to a different way of doing things.
Yeah.
It is not that easy. Nevertheless, we do have our workshops, so we do train our farmers in climate smart agriculture. And not only we are doing it, but the region is doing so. So it's something that we have as probably most important things on our agenda, on our plan. But again, it is not something that achieved overnight.
Let's talk about some of the potential solutions that have been explored for a number of these issues. When you talk about the changing weather patterns, for example, I mean, there's a drought watch for the region, and there's also the prediction of a very above active hurricane season. So it can go either way, and we've seen where droughts have devastated farms, and we've seen where flooding has devastated some of these areas. So that's one, but also going back to the rising costs of being able to support the business of agriculture. You very earlier mentioned things like subsidies, and we've seen where government has been stepping in to kind of alleviate some of the costs of doing business for other areas. The cane farmers, for one. We see it now with the tour guides. What's the plan for agriculture? Because the rising prices for our farmers to be able to produce the food we want to eat inevitably trickles down to the person who goes into the store and has to buy food to feed their family.
Marlene, that then strengthens our position at the ministry. In saying that we must learn to produce our own food. The less food you buy, the less food the household has to buy, the better for the household. If you can grow your vegetables in your backyard, then do so. It will help economically. So we, and from day one again, are promoting backyard gardens, are promoting small family gardens, we're promoting growing your own food. That is very important. Secondly, we have become extremely complacent when we are able to afford certain things. But when we cannot afford certain things, then we start to itch and scratch and worry about how we will do this, how we will do that. Now, our ministry has been proactive in this. Fertilizers are the highest cost at this time. Now, there are alternative ways to fertilize. And we are talking about organic fertilizers. There are countries who are very well advanced in developing their own types of fertilizer organically, using material that are available and around the farm. I have tasked a very hard-working agronomist, Mr. Stabalan, at our last AGM that this was discussed, and she has accepted the challenge to come up with developing fertilizers from sources that are around us, from organic matter, from decomposed plant material, animal material, and this we are now moving out to train the farmers how to do this. It will lower our dependence on imported and chemical fertilizers. Again, herbicides, pesticides are also expensive.
Yeah.
So we are moving to integrated pest management systems. We have ORISA that is doing a lot with biological control, insects, and that has to be multiplied and promoted also.
Yeah.
So there's
Maybe
a
there
lot of
should.
things that we can do locally.
Yeah.
We are not fully prepared for it. We have the idea, we have the concept, and we are going in that direction. Again, Marlene, these things will not happen overnight.
Of course
It is
not.
gradual.
Of course not.
So we are faced with many challenges, but we have the idea, we have the know-how. It's a matter of implementing it. It does not take overnight to do it, but that is our plan.
Well, perhaps we should explore sargassum as fertilizer material, and that would help solve two major problems.
Marlene,
in the
that's a very
country.
important. That's a very important move that you made there. Other countries have tried. Mexico has done research on it.
Yeah.
In CAP has done. CC is doing research at, and these are our collaborating research institutions.
Okay.
We have signed agreements with them. But from what I understand, the results of tests being done on sargassum is not the best.
Okay.
But it can certainly be used for something else in combination with something else, right?
Yeah.
As a standalone, it won't do what we expect it to do.
It would
But
have
we
to be processed, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Definitely.
But coming back, so we talk about reducing cost of fertilizers, but there are other materials. Sometimes I can list off a few that come to mind. Irrigation systems are costly to import if farms are facing droughts. When you talk about the manufacturing business, some of the raw material needed for manufacturing come at a heavy import cost as well. When you talk of bread, the plastics are also costly as well.
Yeah.
Aren't these some of the areas that you've looked at to be able to
Absolutely.
alleviate costs?
And if you have the time to, once again, review Plan Belize, and you zoom in on the agriculture policy, you will see that in there is a component for reducing the import duty on products or materials used for agro processing.
Yeah.
Since we were elected, Marlene, we have removed the import duty from packaging and processing equipment. For example, the ice cream makers, you used to import these machines at 48% duty, I think. That has been removed. For the processing of UHT milk, the equipment,
Yeah.
we brought that in duty-free again. For the equipment for bottling coconuts, juices, and so on, we have removed the import duty on those.
Okay.
So that is why you see much investment going into the agricultural sector right now.
Yeah.
Because for example, 1, 2, 3 oil comes in duty-free. No import duty, no GST, no environmental tax. But the manufacturer here of coconut oil has to pay 48% import duty on bottles, another 20% on lids, another percentage on labeling material, and a huge import duty on the equipment used to manufacture coconut oil.
Wow.
Now that is unfair, right?
Yeah.
It is.
So import something duty free, and then to produce the Belize is costing you so much. That is unfair for our manufacturers and a disincentive. That is a thing of the past.
Yeah.
We have addressed that, and that import duty has been removed. This will stimulate, it will attract investment in manufacturing. If you look at the CARICOM, I was walking around the booths along with my staff and my team, and we stopped at many booths, and people, I asked the hard questions. They laugh at me when I ask the hard questions because the minister, he only face it.
Yeah.
I hope you sample everything and the Belizean version tastes better.
And I have to ask questions. Like, for example, they are bagging spices, and I say, where is spice from? This comes from India, but it has, Guyana. It's a Guyanese product, and I say, okay, what's in it? This is this product. Okay, where do you get this product from? We imported it from where? From India. Okay, see, so they import and they package. So much products I found like that at the expo. So we have to import our packaging material free of input, free of import duty, so that we can be competitive.
Yeah.
Right? We cannot have the locally produced oil, coconut oil, which is very good. You cannot compete with importing oil that pays no duty at all.
Yeah.
This is unfair. So that has been addressed. And that's why you see people right now. We have at this moment 2 soybean oil processing facilities right now being erected in this country. We have 1 soybean refiner.
Wow.
Now that means that from the processing plant, it is bottled and it goes straight to the shelf. It is not oil that you have to export raw oil and then import it back as refined oil.
Yeah.
We are going to start to do refined oil in this country. Let me tell you, Mexico imports 85% of the oil that they consume. 85%.
That's a high number.
We import almost everything, right? And many times we still prefer to import and consume imported oil than to use our local coconut oil, which can be done at the cottage level. You see many people do the coconut oil. It's excellent oil. It's healthier. It has no artificial preservatives in there. It's just natural. Right? When the temperature goes down, it gets hard in the battle, but to me not.
But then that
means
means
it's good.
Yeah, that
That's
means
the
it's
measure
good.
we
But,
use.
you know,
It
I do
takes
that.
us back, though, I
Yeah.
think, to the saying that I think a lot of us grew up hearing: buy Belize, build Belize.
Belize.
And it's time to resurrect a campaign or something similar to remind
Another
people
campaign.
that when we purchase local products, we are helping to build our economy. And one great opportunity for that, Minister, it's a great segue, is the return of the National Agriculture and Trade Show coming up this weekend. I see your smile. You are happy to welcome it back.
Absolutely. I will tell you the truth. I confess it today to my secretary that I hadn't been to a National Agriculture and Trade Show in 13 years.
Wow.
since I was at the Ministry of Agriculture, I guess, or more. But I'm happy. I'm nevertheless excited to be back at the Agriculture Show. We have excellent shows. I think the farmers are dying to show what they have had for 2 years hidden in their closet. The researchers, we have excellent research work going on at Central Farm. We have great leaders there, female leaders who have want to show off what they have done. We have great products to show. We have a lot of interest. We invited this year our partners, research partners in Mexico. We have CC, in fact, worked on tons and tons of research in hot peppers and soybean, and they're dying to share the Belizean producers.
Yeah.
So we will have an excellent agriculture show this year. We have a very hard-working committee. And to be honest, I sort of lost touch with the details of the show and what's going on in this section of the compound, that section, because it's been a while I haven't been around there. I did take a ride around the compound yesterday to see how it's going. It's very, very good shape right now. So I'm satisfied, and I can see that we'll have an excellent agriculture show this year.
Excellent. But, you know, one of the things, we know that time is just flying by just like that. We have to go in shortly. But one of the things would be the safety concerns for families, for children, and of course, the coronavirus pandemic that we are in. Can you address those things?
Well, we are encouraging people to wear their masks, right? As a matter of fact, I suspect we will have masks out there. I'm not certain, but I will raise that matter in a while. But we are encouraging people to wear their masks and to be conscious that there is a pandemic out there. The cases are rising. We know it's not probably deadliest variant, so to speak, but we have to be conscious and we have to be knowledgeable that the pandemic does exist, and we have to do everything possible to avoid the spread of this disease. But I think for the most part, you know, people are now conscious that the way to avoid it is wear a mask. If you can have that little space between people, well, it should be exercised. But I think that will be fine at the end of the day.
Yeah. Let me just close off. You know, we were lucky enough to interview the two of the Farmer of the Years, the female Farmer of the Year and the Junior Farmer of the Year. I think one of the things we haven't discussed, and maybe we can close off with this point, is how you plan to encourage more Belizeans to move into agriculture or to see it as a potential business for them, whether it's an urban garden or backyard garden or, you know, investing in their own farms or manufacturing.
You know what scares me, Marlene? I heard a statement from one of the head of state in Guyana, one of the heads of state in Guyana, who said that in their country, the farmers are 50 years and above, or something like that.
Wow.
They're more younger farmers. In Belize, the cane farmers, for example, the same cane farmers I met there 30 years ago are the same cane farmers there today. The sons, the kids, the siblings have moved on to educating themselves and to working in Belpan, in Belize, in San Pedro, anywhere except the farm. Why this has happened is because farming has become challenging over the last 20 years. Sugarcane, the profits have actually vanished. If it was a luxurious business, even Marlene would have been a farmer doing that. John would have had a tractor and a kid.
Oh, you know.
But farming is always difficult, right? It is profit driven.
Yeah.
If there's no profit in it, then people will not get into it.
Yeah.
Right? So I am concerned about it. Now, Marlene, one of the ways to begin this is in the school. I cannot make John a farmer overnight. I can't put a machete on John's side and say, I go clean a piece of bush and plant tomatoes. It not works. It doesn't work.
No.
It has to be instilled since infancy. When we were kids, I remember they would say, listen, if you fail or you do bad this semester or this term, you're going to farm.
Yeah.
Farming was viewed as a punishment.
Yeah.
It's a tough task.
Farming is a business, not a punishment. I have my younger son who's 22 years old, and he wakes up in the morning and he goes to the farm to look at his cows. If he doesn't go in the morning, he goes in the evening. Yeah. You know why? He's seeing that cattle is a business for him, right? And he knows that the way when I'm ready to leave, he will have to manage the farm. So when he sees that there is a money that is making money of it, then he takes that initiative, right? He gives them molasses, he gives them minerals. He's there every day because he realizes that he can make money of it. Yeah. But the fact is, we need to go and do cane field. Right. He's not too happy about it because he knows there's not a lot of money in sugarcane. Wow. There's a lot of hard work, a lot of hours in the sun, and there's not much benefits. So it has to be profit driven, but it has to be instilled in the child. It means that we have to include agriculture at the primary school level. That's why I'm encouraging the teachers, the principals in Orinja and across the country to take on agriculture in their backyards. We are prepared at the ministry to go to any school and help install a small garden. All right. So the kids understand from small that food is important. It's not only about profit, it's about feeding yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because you need a time, a friend told me many years ago, he said, I'll tell you something. He said, one of these days, not even with your money, you're going to buy my planting.
Oh, God.
Right? So we're reaching that point. So we have to encourage that. And Minister Fonseca is supporting us 100% in getting agriculture into the schools.
All right, Minister. I'll tell you what, we're so glad that you were able to join us this morning to share with us your findings from AgriForum and, of course, how things are agricultural-wise in our country. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Marlene.
All right.
All right. We need to take a break.
You are the reporter show, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll be there. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll be chit-chatting with Belizean panelist Alex Evans. He made the semifinals of Anograma. He'll be telling us all about it when we come back. Stay with us.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Full-Tech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Full-Tech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
This May will be amazing at Benny's. Get amazing deals and great gifts from Mom. We have Pyrex Bakeware, Chicago Cutlery Knife Sets, Corningware, Snapware, and the elegant yet durable Coral Dinnerware Sets at amazing prices. Check out our impressive line of Sankey appliances and much, much more. Take advantage of these amazing deals all May long, only at Benny's, celebrating 75 years of quality and savings.
Todo beliceño merece tener una conexión de internet de calidad, rápida y confiable en su hogar. Para clases en línea y trabajo desde casa, es la nueva forma de vida. Diginet es el proveedor número 1 de servicio de fibra óptica, impulsando la transición digital de Belice. Y ahora nuestro servicio de Diginet es aún más accesible con nuestro nuevo plan de entrada. Por tiempo limitado, tú y tu familia pueden disfrutar de 20 megabits por segundo por solamente $49 mensuales. No más clases perdidas ni reuniones virtuales interrumpidas. Te está costando mucho tiempo y dinero. Diginet es mejor que cualquier opción de cable o servicio inalámbrico. Visita cualquier Digistore hoy y suscríbete para la conexión más rápida y confiable de Internet para el hogar en Belice. Ven a ver lo que te has estado perdiendo. El mismo servicio de fibra de alta calidad, rápido y confiable, ahora a un precio aún más bajo. Para más información, visita www.livedigi.com/Diginet. Digi, nuestra telecomunicación nacional.
Hi, I'm Chef Sean Quillen. I love cooked fish fillet, and I prefer to get my fish straight at the fish market right here at Conchel Bay. But you see, sometimes you come out here and you don't know what you're getting. The fish has no label, it has no patch of skin. But don't worry about it. I am here today to teach you how to avoid fish fraud. When purchasing your fillet, remember to look out for the patch of skin required by law. Or you could tell them by the physical characteristics. Long and slender, barracuda. Nice white meat, hagfish. The deep bloodline from the bow to the stand, that is jack. When buying in bulk or buying out of a bag, make sure to inspect each fillet individually to avoid what we call in a Creole, pussy in a bag. What a pussy in a bag? Fraud. If that's not the help you, because even for me as a professional chef at this man for 40 years, that's really challenging. All I could tell you is buy from a reputable source or buy it whole. And if all of that's not available to you, just go to fishrighteatright.com and we at Oceana have a fish identification chart. Because guess where you're going here now? We talk about bloodline just now one thing, and that's a snapper, right? Classic snapper. What kind of snapper this?
This is the shark.
Nurse shark. Highly illegal. No make they trick you, no make you buy pussy in a bag. Do the right thing, fish right, eat right.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're moving now into our second segment of the morning. And this one is all about Belizean panist Alex Evans, who is now a part of the semifinals of Panorama, one of the biggest events in of course, the Caribbean. Alex is in with us. Alex, good morning and welcome.
Hi, morning, John. Morning, Marlene.
Wow, clear audio too. This guy knows exactly what he's doing there. But my buddy, you actually reached the semifinals of Panorama. Let's get into what Panorama is, and from there we'll move on. Talk to us about it.
All right, so Panorama it's been branded as the World Cup of Steel Pan, and it is an international steel pan soloist competition that was founded by Mr. Nevin Roach, who is a Trinidadian based in Barbados, during the pandemic in 2020, when everything was shut down and the world was kind of adjusting to the new normal. He saw the opportunity to bring top-level steel pan entertainment while also offering a platform for the development and showcasing of bright panists, skilled adept panists, and and kind of bringing that to the world virtually.
Yeah. Well, Alex, I remember the conversation when you were here talking about being the first Belizean to enter the competition, and now you're back ready to head into semi-final round. I just want to get your reaction. You did the performance virtually, and then you get the results. What's the moment like for you?
To be honest, Marlene, I don't really think that I've had the time to properly celebrate or to really feel it or anything like that, because I maybe felt excited about it for like 5 minutes, and then it was straight into, okay, now I have to start planning my performance for the semifinals.
Yeah.
So it was like straight into focus mode, straight into work mode.
Yeah.
Maybe after all is said and done, I could reflect on it and actually feel the magnitude of everything.
But you've scoped out the competition because you've seen them in the first round.
Yes.
So what's your thoughts on the competition? I mean, these are all people who love doing what they do in terms of pan. You are the same. What's your thoughts on the competition?
My thoughts have not changed since before the start of the competition. First and foremost, the fact that it's a competition is kind of like secondary for me.
Okay.
I very much have made a decision when it comes to music, when it comes to life, that I am not competing with anyone except myself. My only goal in every situation that I'm in is to present the best possible version of myself. And this, let's call it a showcase. This showcase is no different.
Okay.
And also, I think coming into it, I understood, and I think I said this the last time I was on the show, that I am by no means the best panist in this competition. There are certain things about my playing and my playing style that are strengths. But certainly my biggest strength is my ability to arrange music and to come up with unique ideas and express a unique musical vocabulary.
Yeah.
And I think after having seen the competition, there are some amazing panists in the competition that when it comes down to just raw playing ability, I have no qualms in saying that they're a step above where I am. So my hope is to bridge that gap with my ability to write music.
All right, great. So what is the criteria for the semis, and what should Belizean expect from you?
The judging criteria are the same as for the prelims. So you have your tune of choice. You have to create your own original intro. Then after you play the verse and chorus of that tune of choice, then you get into different variations of developing the melodic motif, and then you close off with a ending. So the time requirement is between 3 to 4.5 minutes. So if it's like a 4-minute performance, about 3 minutes of that 4 minutes is original material.
What did sure, go ahead.
And for my semifinal performance, I think I said this to you on April off air when I was there last time. I think I said that if I made it to semis. Yeah. But it's okay. You'll hear no. That if I made it to semifinals, I think I said that my semifinal performance would be a love letter to Belizean women. Ooh. And that is exactly what I intend to do with my semifinal performance. I will be performing Welcome to Belize by Lila Vernon. Honoring one of our cultural and musical giants in with my performance, and also dedicating it to the women of Belize, and in particular the artists and cultural workers. And I had a lot of I've garnered a lot of support and assistance from a lot of the women in art in Belize, women who are actively existing and contributing to the artistic and cultural landscape and ecosystem in Belize. So aside from the tune of choice being a Lila Vernon song, everything else that is being presented there's contribution from the women of Belize. I will be performing in a space that is curated by Miss Ilona Smiling. She got some visual art pieces from Brigida Haylock, Jacqueline Ewens, Yaoling Lee, Shahira Young. My attire is sponsored by Ronelli Rikenya, and even my hair is being done by Lula Bennett. So it's a performance that is very much a thank you and a celebration of women in arts in Belize.
That's right. We women, we got you, right?
Yeah.
Always have my back, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
This is, I want to, the fact that you get to do it virtually is an opportunity itself. It opens a space for you to compete. But do you miss the live performance aspect?
Yes and no. I think that the on the one hand, the live performance, there's definitely a much more direct interplay and exchange of energies and exchange of, there's that direct feedback loop between the performer and the audience, in real time, where I'm playing and I'm expressing my energy, and the audience is feeding off of that energy and expressing their energy, and there's that back and forth and there's that vibe.
Yeah.
But of course, especially for a competition, that there's a lot more pressure that comes with a live in-person performance,
Mm-hmm.
So it's a double-edged sword, really.
Okay. So how are we able to support you this coming weekend? What do we have to do?
Okay, so the first thing is to tune in on the Panorama YouTube page. The semifinals start at 6 p.m. Belize time, and it will be streamed, like I said, on the Panorama YouTube page. I will be the sixth performance. I think you all just had the graphic. Just had the graphic up. And in addition to that, there are also two categories that are by vote. I think when I checked earlier this week, I was in 4th place for People's Choice and Best Dressed. So the voting take place on the Facebook and Instagram pages for Panorama. There's a post, and all you have to do to support is to just search for the Best Dressed post on Instagram and the People's Choice post on Facebook. You have to like or follow the respective Panorama pages, and once you see that post, they will have a comment with my name, and all you have to do is like that comment. And only votes from accounts that have followed and liked the Panorama pages will count towards the total.
Yeah. Fair enough. They know exactly what to do to get followers.
I know everybody has to get on Facebook right now, look up Panorama, and make sure they submit their vote. It's so easy for them to be able to help you out.
All right.
Best Dressed, though, that's interesting. Is that a part of the performance that puts pressure on Ronelli moving forward, right?
Yes, Yes, but I mean, but if there's anybody equipped to handle it, she is phenomenal.
She is excellent person indeed. And so
absolutely.
while this weekend, we know time is winding down, but let's get your feeling for this weekend. What are you feeling like, and how are you feeling actually?
To be honest, I don't really feel a lot of pressure moving into this. I think I've already really accomplished everything that I set out to do with this competition, which the main goal was just to represent Belize and myself positively. I think placing in the top 10 for prelims, I think I've surpassed that expectation. I've gotten a lot of really, really good feedback from some really experts in the field, top level experts. And so with this performance, I feel like I'm a little bit more free to just express myself. And one of the goals with this performance, I'm choosing a Belizean broke-down song. So one of my goals with this performance is to bring the world to Belize, and to take Belize to the world.
Oh man, this guy.
Well, let me tell you, I feel proud seeing that Belize flag on that list.
Yeah.
There are 4 Trinidad flags.
4 Trinidad, yes.
But really proud of what you've been able to accomplish so far, and still very much looking forward to good news come Monday. How many people move forward from the semifinals?
Well, there's 20 people in the semifinals, and 10 move forward.
Okay. Wow. All right. So we'll get the update on you being a part of that 10 on Monday. No pressure.
No pressure, Alex.
You have Leela, you have Lula, you have a whole army of women behind you.
Yes.
And the country as well. You've dedicated yourself to this craft for a long time. And so we are proud to see you excel.
Wishing you all the best, Alex.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Marlene. Thank you, John. I really appreciate it.
All right, so there we go. It was a great time with Alex Evans. We're about to move on, though. We have a commercial break coming up. Thereafter, we'll be chit-chatting about accessing mental health services in Belize. We've got a panel lined up for you to tell you exactly how to, when to, why to, and that's coming up when we come back.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says, "Wives, submit to your husbands as is fitting for those who belong to the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and never treat them harshly." The Bible has much to say about the role of a husband and wife in marriage and their respect for one another. The husband should not be a tyrant, nor the wife a governor, but both treated with dignity and love. I heard of one woman whose husband acted like a tyrant who controlled and dominated her life. Then one day she died and arrived in heaven to be greeted by Peter, who informed her that she had to pass a test to get in. She responded, "You know I'm a Christian, and I have trusted Jesus, and my sins are forgiven." Peter said, "I know that, but you still have to pass this test." She then asked, "What kind of a test?" Peter said, "It's a spelling test." "Well, what is a word?" Peter replied, "Love." "Oh, that's easy. L-O-V-E. Great, you passed. Come on in." A few weeks later, Peter informed her he needed her to welcome the newcomers and give the test. She reluctantly agreed, but after a few days, who would show up but her controlling husband? She said, "Oh, it's good to see you, honey, but you have to take a test." He said, "You know I'm a Christian." She replied, "I know that, but I had to take a spelling test and you will too." He asked, "Well, what is the word?" And she replied, "Czechoslovakia." You better love and respect your wives and guard their lives as Jesus loved the church and gave his life for it, or you may have to learn to spell Czechoslovakia one day. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
I'm always on the go, and the country is my home. So when I want to get away from it all, I immerse myself with my favorite movies, all from the new Smart Stream app. It's easy to use this service. Purchase your movies from the app and use your mobile data, Smart Stream data packages, or Smart Broadband to stream and enjoy. like me and stream on the go with Smart Stream.
My name is Janine and I live in Belize City. I've been a social worker for 2 years now. Social work is actually a difficult job. It takes a lot from you, not physically, but mentally. I went for an interview once for a job in dealing with youths at risk. And while in the interview, I was asked the question if I'm sure I wanted the job because it was dealing with troubled youth. And the interviewer looked at me and said, well, we would prefer a male for the job. I was hurt at first because I thought I was as qualified as the male to get the job. And it really stuck with me because then I thought, if I am as qualified, why wasn't I chosen? Why would you want to eliminate 50% of the workforce? People are supposed to be hired based on merit and not gender.
Hola usuario de eCash, la aplicación eCash está disponible en español. Cambiar el idioma de tu aplicación de eCash de inglés a español es rápido y sencillo. Déjame mostrarte cómo se hace. Primero, abre tu aplicación eCash. Introduce tu PIN. Toca el icono More en la parte inferior de tu pantalla. Selecciona Security. Selecciona Language. Y luego selecciona Spanish. Vuelve a introducir tu PIN y ya está. Tu aplicación de eCash está ahora en español y puedes seguir disfrutando de tu cartera digital eCash. La aplicación eCash de Belize Bank te hace la vida más fácil.
When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Channel 5 introduces the Daily Obituaries. The Daily Obituaries will broadcast all death and funeral announcements and memorials to honor your loved one's life and memories. The Daily Obituaries airs on Channel 5 prior to the evening newscast, with subsequent repeats at 10 p.m. and 12 noon the following day. It will also be placed online on our social media platforms, all for a standard package fee. Celebrate their lives and memories with Channel 5's Daily Obituaries. Honor in life and reverence in death.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5 Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes, and we're moving now into our third and final segment for the morning, of course. And this one is all about accessing mental health services in Belize. We've got some professionals in to tell us exactly how to, when to, and how to. As a matter of fact, in with us, we've got Martine King, who is a part of Mind Health Connect Belize. We've got Christina Courtney. I know you as Krista Courtney. There we go. Mind Health Connect again. Yes. Nurse Ingrid Bonilla is in with us, of course. Welcome. Psychiatric nurse practitioner at Mental Health Unit. All right. And of course, we've got Leon Leslie, who is a psychologist at the Community Counseling Center. He's on Zoom. Good morning, everybody, and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you. Morning. Right. Thank you for having us.
It is nice to have all of you in, especially at this time of life, I'd like to say. And I say that because of how things are at this particular point. We've been talking about international news and what's going on there and how it affects people's mind, what is seen, the pandemic. There's so many things going on. Primarily, I'd like to start with what is mental health? When we talk about that, what are we talking about? Anybody? Just
well,
nurse.
When it comes to your mental health, it's speaking about your state of mind at that particular moment, time, second. And then, of course, that can change from time to time, day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute.
Yeah.
So my state of mind at this moment might not be the same within the next second. Right? So it's something that's changing. It's not always constant. And so it's how you're doing, your well-being at that time, how you feel, your emotions are attached, your spiritual well-being. So it encompasses everything. All right?
Primarily, a lot of people might not reckon that, you know what, there's something going on. You might feel like it's a normal feeling. Is that so, or talk to us about that?
Could be. What do we consider to be normal is the question.
Yeah.
So if I feel that the sky is blue at this moment and you think it's red, who's to say who's normal?
Yeah.
All right? So it comes to your well-being in general has to do with your values, your belief system. It encompasses so much that sometimes you get lost within it, because a headache could be a sign that maybe you're stressed.
Yeah.
For you, you could say, well, no, the headache means my pressure is up.
Yeah.
I'm not stressed. So which is it?
Yeah.
So in general, it's looking at the whole person holistically, taking into account everything, and then deciding what it is that is actually happening with that individual. Is it a physical or a mental symptom?
Yeah. You know, it's the final leg of Mental Health Awareness Month in May. And I know that all of you have been practicing in Belize for quite some time. We're in a different place today than we were even, 5 years ago. We're talking about mental health. We have a demand for mental health services, but we still see a lot of issues when it comes to stigma. Let me just hear from you, and whoever wants to jump in first. The changes that we've seen, progress made, but where our greatest challenges are.
Well, when you say that, I often think of men, and I like to, my disclaimers, I'm not picking on men, I love men, but I think our men are in trouble. So a lot more women, and this is across the world, and likewise in Belize, will seek services. And I know when we started many years ago, people would only come to therapy if this was absolutely the last thing. I'm in crisis, I've gone through everything else, and well, I guess I have to come to you now and let's see. And that has changed. It changed before COVID, and COVID helped as well. But our men are not accessing services, and they have the highest addiction rate. They have the highest suicide rate, and for me, that's very worrying. They also tend to be less expressive. They don't share as often, and so when it comes to the biggest challenges for me right now, it's men knowing that it's okay to access services, and it's also on the part of the women to encourage men to do so, because we are a part of breaking this therapies for crazy, weak, kind of woman, white people kind of thing, Like that's antiquated, that's been said and disproven. When you have suicide being the third leading cause of death for young people, and the high cause of death for men and women, but this is no longer just some abstract concept that we're just pulling out of thin air. Although what you described just now makes it feel that way, because it's not like I can go, mental, it's not that easy. Right. So, a lot of that remains. I can't necessarily see it unless you're in crisis, so that makes it more abstract and complicated. And of course, for me, it remains the same. Will anybody see me? Are they going to think I'm crazy? Are they going to think I'm weak? And that type of old talk still remains internally, because we say it to ourselves. And then, of course, Belize is very small, so that makes it even more difficult to say, you know what, I'm going to take the risk and seek help. And help can come in different forms. It doesn't only have to be counseling. It can be other wellness activities that can help you.
But Leon, let's get your take on this. The male men in Belize accessing counseling. You are a professional in the field. Tell us your take.
Males, recently there has been a shift, at least from the counseling center. What I've noticed is the younger generation have been accessing males, specifically have been accessing more than females, or they're almost equal at this stage. So my age range and above, yes, while we were hesitant, after myself, I do see that males are coming in. Yes, it is hard to get them to understand emotions, display emotions, but they do try. And I do believe that is a step forward. They attempt to at least step into the door and see what it's about, at least understand how can it help me, how can it not help me, and see what's next.
Yeah, and the generational change is a big difference. But we're living in a world with a mix of generations. So you have people who still look at mental illness, or people who access therapy as, you know, we don't talk about that. And then you have a younger generation who is growing up thinking that mental wellness is their priority in life. How do we function in a society with these two competing notions on mental health?
Well, that's where I think it's been fantastically interesting, because the more the younger people, I have several clients right now whose children are adults living abroad, but have encouraged their parents here in Belize to seek help. Because they're now, again, the awareness is growing amongst their generation because we're talking about it a lot more. Versus, you know, 20, 30 years ago, this was not something you even knew about to discuss. Even if you knew about it, you didn't know the word to put on it. You just, something's wrong. Even when we take history sometimes from people, it's hard to get a family history to know if anyone else in your family suffered with depression or anxiety. It's like, well, I don't really know. I think my aunt traveled with something, or my granny, you know, may have some bad days sometimes. But there isn't even a language in a lot of instances to describe what people have seen and been exposed to and may have a family history of. So the fact that we are doing this work, Mental Health Association is doing this work, TV stations are willing to have these kinds of conversations. This is exactly how you reduce stigma in anything. You know, when racism kind of took center stage, it's always been there. But we're creating a language now, a shared language around these types of issues. And that is so important around mental health, because the younger generation now will have a language. They have a label, they have a name to put on something. When I understand what it is, I understand where it comes from, then it's easier to take the next step, which is to get it treated. And to participate in that type of treatment.
From listening to Leon and listening to you guys, it seems that we are going in the right direction in terms of people trying to go on out there to seek help if they feel that, you know what, this is what I really need. Now, primarily though, there are a lot of people who might feel, I don't even know where to go. I don't know where to start. I hear you. You're telling me, John, please go get some help, go get some help. Where can I go? I don't really know, but I know help today. What are some of the starting phases of trying to get or accessing help?
Well, that's where Mind Health Connect comes in. Mind Health Connect Belize comes in. So we saw the need. People would ask professionally and personally all the time, where do we get help? We want to get help, but where do we go? Who do we talk to? And so we created this website, Mind Health Connect Belize. And on that, you get emails, you get phone numbers, and you can reach out to us. And we don't give services ourselves. We're an advocacy group. So you go to the website or you reach out to the number, and then you can ask, okay, you know what, I'm in Toledo, I need help with this, that, or the other. So we have it by district, the resources, and this is, mental health is about wellness, right? We all have mental health. So there's yoga, there are churches, there are AA groups, whatever resources we could find in Belize, we really tried to put on that site. And then we have the government resources, and we have private resources. So if you can afford to enter into private services, you can go ahead and do that. If you need to access the government system, you can do that as well. And that's where we'd love for Nurse Bania and Leon to tell us a little bit more about what they offer through their system. So Mind Health Connect is exactly that. We want you to know that you're not alone. You're not alone in your suffering, and there's help. And we may not have all the resources we want, but there are some resources. And we want to help you to get into those resources.
There's a start.
And you know, I think it's critical that people know that the government systems do provide mental health services. The psychiatric nurse practitioners have been trained to assist in interventions for mental health issues. And I think it's still all clinics countrywide have a PNP stationed.
Not all clinics countrywide. But you do have the main locations. Within the districts, it's the hospital. Within central region, which is Belize City, we have Port Loyola. We also function from Cleopatra White Health Center. However, since COVID, some changes have been made.
Yeah.
But the plan and ultimate goal is to return at least by, I'd say by July.
Okay.
Back to complete services on the north. But we do offer currently from the Port Loyola Health Center.
Okay.
We do home visits. We do street visits.
Wait, what street visits?
Meaning someone who would not come to the clinic, we go to them, even if they're homeless and living on the street.
Yeah.
Just so as to ensure that that person remains stable.
Yeah.
We do the villages, we do the keys. So we do a lot of outreach in order to ensure that, people do not relapse.
Yeah. And Liam, the counseling center has been offers free counseling services.
Yes, we do. We offer free counseling services to anyone from ages 5 and up. Primarily in Belize City, we are hoping, keyword hoping, by the middle of this year we get a counselor in to serve the Kaya district. But we do teletherapy or virtual therapy for our district as best as we can. Because some cases, it doesn't make sense to do the virtual. It's not helpful to the client. We won't do justice. So we try our best with what we can. In Belize City, we have 3 counselors here at the hub. Myself, Miss Palencia, and Mrs. Seguiri. And we do also have Miss Palencia, who is a Spanish-speaking counselor. So she serves the Hispanic community.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think of language barriers and services.
Yeah.
But let's, now that we know, there are private clinics available. Some of the hospitals have psychologists on staff, the clinics as well. Let's just talk about who needs to access these services. I feel like after this pandemic, everybody needs a bit of counseling, and it's not over yet. I keep on saying that.
Right,
So
yeah.
it was a complete turnover from what people were used to, and this adjustment into whatever life will be after has been challenging for many. How does someone know that they would benefit from seeking counseling services?
So, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Jump in.
Jump in, yes.
One of the main things is that you have a particular feeling or problem that is reoccurring.
Yeah.
So no matter what you try to do, it keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Right? So I have this feeling where my chest gets tight and I can't breathe.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not only when you have to do public speaking, right? It just kind of comes over you rare. But you do everything you can. Like I breathe, I try to think happy thoughts, I try to stay positive because everybody wants to only be positive, right? We don't have the language for expressing sometimes difficult emotions yet. And everything that you do, it won't go away or it keeps getting worse. So when you have any kind of problem, if it's a financial problem, if it's a problem relating to your children, if it's relational issues where you all are just arguing and fighting all the time, there is a difference between normal ups and downs and things that are extremely unhealthy in a relationship and absolutely need to be addressed. So when these things, you're doing everything you can and it's not moving, it's not improving, it's not getting better, that's a good time to just ask somebody something. Because a lot of times when we have a problem that we're trying to solve, no matter what it is, we keep applying the skills we have more and more and more and more. And we don't even know sometimes to realize that it might require a different skill or using a tool in a different way. And so we're so in it that we can't see any other options. We can't learn any new information because we're just, just in it. We're working on this, I've been working at this and it's just not moving. Anything, that's a good time to seek some help.
I'd like to add too, if you have already seen a counselor and it didn't work the way you expected, if you've been to the clinics, if you've reached out for help, or oftentimes you reach out to somebody and they're like, be positive, man, suck it up, no worry about that. Don't let that dissuade you for too long. Please seek somebody who does not have that mindset or is more open to the idea of all of us needing help at some point, especially after what we continue to live with, constant adjustments and readjustments. And so if you have tried the system before or reached out to somebody, who was not helpful, please don't give up on the system.
Yeah.
Please seek some more, ask questions, because there is help and there is, there is relief.
Yeah, there is. I think one of the things, to empathize, and it brings me down to emotions, and I wanted to ask Leon, and there's something else I'd like to touch on afterwards. But Leon, you did mention that we're noticing that a lot of these young men are actually coming in now and saying that, yes, I need the help. It simply means that they're touching their emotional side. How important is it to share your emotion as men? Because we know for a fact that it is a driver of calm. How important is it?
Well, for most men, the first thing we have to pass the hurdle of anger. Most men display anger. That's the primary emotions majority of males come in with. So we have to cross that hurdle first. Once we overcome that hurdle, you begin to see the other aspects. You see, I've seen males who never knew what it is to cry, to feel tears running down their eyes, begin to express that, and that is when you're making progress. You begin to hit the key point in a therapy session. Along with that, as what Miss King said, one of the things that I always encourage males, not because you didn't get help from a specific counselor means there's nothing wrong with you. Sometimes you need to find a correct fit.
Right.
A therapeutic relationship, as we call it. You have to figure that fit out, because you may not fit with me as a counselor, but another counselor you may be able to fit with, that you mesh with, and you see the progress. So I always encourage all men, try it out. If it doesn't work with one counselor, try another counselor. One of our biggest drawbacks in Belize is we don't have much male counselors. So it is a bit hard for a lot of males to say, well, I need the help. When they look around, there's only females they encounter. But we do have males here. I know myself, Mr. Vargas, Jeremy Vargas. I think Mr. Fermin Oliveira also does it. But the emotional aspect, I always encourage it. Don't feel ashamed of it. One of the barriers I like to show them is giving my own personal experiences and show them that I also have emotions. So the empathy is there. You need to build that relationship.
Yeah. And
what's the difference? I'm hearing the conversation about being able to find someone who's a best fit for you, because you may be dissuaded along the way. Sometimes you go to the school counselor. I know they're working on training them properly, or you talk to someone in the church who is considered a counselor, and they're like, "Oh, just pray about it," think positively. Someone else tells you, "Oh, we all go through hard times," but some people can really be struggling. What's the difference that it makes when they access services to be able to treat whatever it is they're going through?
The difference in counselors and
the difference
fits?
in the person,
That can be personality, the therapeutic relationship. Each counselor has his or her own approach. So some are more directive and others are more person-centered, where you come in and I will meet you where you are. And what's important, I think, oftentimes is to be validated. So yes, praying is a skill, a tool amongst many, but I'm not going to put that on you or say to you that that's the only thing that's going to work. So I think most of the times, and we know now from research that it doesn't matter oftentimes, what skills you use, the relationship with the counselor and how you are able to connect and feel like, okay, this person is with me where I am versus this person is telling me what to do and how I should feel. That rarely ever works, because most of the times, if not all, you already know a lot of what needs to be done. So it's having a space where you trust another human being that can see you and be with you. And then at points, or objectivity, because we're outside of your life, can then say, well, you know what, here are some options, the
TV version of therapy is that you lie down on a couch and you talk about your childhood, right? Everybody laughs because that's what people expect, that you people just want to know my business. And
you want to tell me what to do?
And you're going to tell me what to do. And anybody who's ever done therapy, you wish they'd tell you what to do, because that's not part of the process.
Right.
But this is this is part of doing the work for yourself. How do you overcome those barriers? You're still talking about people thinking it's for crazy people. I hate to say that, but that's a common stereotype.
Yes.
And two, that they're really concerned about confidentiality in a country like Belize. Ingrid, you want to take that one?
I also had some things I wanted to add before I answer that. We were talking about, because of how you feel, and if it keeps coming back. But bear in mind also the physical aspect, that some conditions have symptoms that are not emotional, and you could have pain. Someone with depression can actually have physical pain and not realize it has nothing to do with anything else other than the fact that they're depressed. So those are little things that doctors need to be able to pick up on, nurses, the counselors, everyone needs to be aware of, how to connect everything. Counseling, but in depth, it's for the counselors. We have a male psychiatrist, so people can connect if they need that male figure. We have patients who are males who say, no, the females are going to be judgmental, so they prefer the male psychiatrist, depending on what the situation is. So even within the government system, we do offer this service. And now, how to know which angle to turn and to know that, we're making a difference. That's the key thing, as was mentioned just now. Each person is different. Validation was mentioned just now. That's important. Do I validate you? Do I empathize with you? Do you feel that I'm someone you can build that rapport or connect with? That's what's important to people. At the end of the day, how did you make them feel? Maya Angelou said something in reference to that.
That's a great way to put it. True.
I don't know to quote it the same, but
but we get you.
It is how you made them feel at the end of the day.
That's a great way to put it. When you walk out, there is that sense of, there's a feeling there, a sense of, that connectivity.
All right. In order for anything to work, there must be support, primarily. How big is family support with people who are seeking help? Because, you go in a household, everybody notices that you're going through help, you need some help and stuff, but they don't understand what you're going through. They don't understand the help that you're seeking. It's not a Band-Aid. And that's where a lot of people feel, oh, that's the help right there. It's not a Band-Aid. This has to do with mentally. Let's talk about the family support that must be had, especially in situations like this.
Well, we can work in any setting. So if a person has family support, it's an extra tool that we can use that helps the person move along faster. If a person is in a situation in their home where they're not supported in seeking therapy, then it is something that actually works against their progress. So you don't actually have to do anything as a family member except give the person space and support whatever actions they need to take for their own treatment and healing. But there are some people that actively, you're not done with therapy yet? How many more times do you have to go? How long is this going to take you to get over? What you still to do, to see this person, or why you to see this person so long? Those kinds of things.
Or if there's no change immediately, then it's not
right.
working.
This not work for you, or if you speak up for yourself, you still have an attitude, and so it's not working for you. And again, it just speaks to the misconception that even seeking therapy is a quick fix. It's not. When you think about, as an adult, you as an adult, the collection of experiences you have had throughout your lifetime, each one contributing to how your nervous system is being trained to respond to stressors and day-to-day, challenges. So if you imagine that even a fraction of those have been in any way traumatic or overwhelming for you, especially early on in early childhood development, you're looking at someone who is carrying like a program, a whole system of operations that we as therapists are trained to pick out, like where the errors in the code are, or the maladaptions in the code, and how to access that and reprocess it so that these things are cleared out and people can be healthy. They can let go of the things that were not helpful to them and embrace the things that were.
Yeah, I like to tell people that learning things is hard, but unlearning is harder for sure.
But with the right help and support, you can absolutely achieve that.
Yeah.
But you know, it's if I fall over this table right now, hit my head, everyone around hopefully will come to my aid.
We will.
And say,
We got you.
You know, are you okay?
Yeah.
And we are very responsive like that. I think we as a society, we can be very caring in that way. But we don't have that connection to see that there are emotional and mental needs that also arise that require that same sense of urgency and care and empathy for others. And that's, you know, I think that's the gap that still exists
That's
today.
a great way to put it too, yes.
I like to go to the statistics for that, and I go just to the one about young people. That if I think between the age bracket of 15 to 19, the third leading cause of death in the world is suicide. If you don't believe, you know, I like to quote my dad on this. He goes, Martine, I don't really fully understand what you do, but I believe you. And I'm like, that works for me. Because if you are not looking and thinking about teenagers and young people, look, yeah, man, they're dramatic, this generation, this generation, that. To quote my son now, bro, look at the figures don't lie. These are dead bodies. These are young people who are in the prime of their lives, who are choosing to die rather than living. That is not abstract, that is not weakness, that is not craziness. Something is not working. And these are the conversations that need to be had. So this conversation here and just saying suicide. Kids, men, women are dying, and we cannot ignore that.
And the public isn't aware of the full issue of suicide because we don't report on it.
We don't report it.
You don't get a nightly report saying 13-year-old or 14-year-old died by suicide. So these are all issues that we do face in this country. Now, what's the difference? Somebody will say there's an element of suffering that exists in our life. You know, we do suffer. But what is the difference for people who access help, who access mental health services? What is going to be the outcome that will make their life better versus someone who says, I'm just going to stick it through?
Just ride it out,
So you know how it feels if everybody can imagine your first job, the first job you ever had. Okay, hold that in your mind. You're walking into the first job you ever had. How did you feel? A little unsure, right? Wanting to do things right, wanting to learn as quickly as you could, trying to remember everything. So there's this energy that flows through your body. And it's stress. That's the good kind of stress that prepares you to meet a challenge. Right? 3 months in now, you're not supposed to have that same type of activation when you walk into work because you know what to do. You have a general idea. You know where to go for help. If you get a question that you can't answer, you meet the situation for the first time after 3 months. So this sense of knowing what to do, having an idea what's reasonable to expect every day is one of the first things you get in the initial stages of therapy. It's this idea that, oh, wow, now I understand what's going on with me, or I know when I feel that what that is and what to do about it. And so the initial stages is just really this moment where it's like everything I've been feeling and suffering with makes sense. It's no longer this, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Or what's gonna happen to me? Or you know, what's wrong with me? Right?
Or
why can't I deal with this? Or yes, I'm the,
Yeah.
exactly. And so the initial stages of therapy is that awareness period where people are learning a lot and understanding the language and being able to, so you can imagine now you go into a job where you know what to do, how good that feels, right? Or you make a difference, or you're doing something that you're committed to or that you enjoy doing, and you feel good about it. And so coming out of therapy now, you feel good about the decisions that you make. You know what you need to consider. You know what your personal signs and symptoms are when something's going off. So you don't have to just suffer. You can actually thrive.
Krista raises a good point, because these are also questions that you all are asking that you can ask your therapist or a potential therapist or PNP when you go to see them, or the psychiatrist. Ask these questions like, how does the process work? What am I supposed to expect? ask them, and if you don't get the answers that you know satisfy you, then look somewhere else or ask more questions. You know, it's okay to ask those questions, because then if we have a clearer idea of what this process is supposed to be like, what help and support looks like, healthy help and healthy support looks like, it can help the process, and it builds trust, it builds connectivity, and we need more questioning, right? Not this idea that, oh, these are the experts and they're just gonna, I'm gonna come and they're just gonna do what they do.
Whatever,
So those are helpful
Picking
questions.
up on what you just said, that's what I usually tell the patients. I'm not the expert. You are. At the end of the day, I read some books. I never took this medication, but you are the expert who will tell me at the end, did it or did it not work? Did the therapy work or not? We're not the experts. They are.
And one of the questions that normally come up as well, and I know that we're winding down, is can my counselor give a prescribed medication to me?
No, we don't. We can't prescribe medication. The psychiatrists can, the PNPs can. They've been through the medical field, the medical model, and so no, your counselor can't. Your counselor will refer and say, okay, you need to see your doctor or a psychiatrist or go to the PNP. We cannot diagnose.
And not everybody who goes to therapy is going to take medication.
Correct. That's actually more rare, actually. But if we feel that someone's symptoms are unmanageable or will impact their ability to participate in therapy in a meaningful way because they're just suffering so much, we may refer for a medication consultation, just for then the professional to determine if we're on the right track, or maybe for this patient it's not recommended that we use medication, we need to just proceed with therapy. Or some people, you know what, we do this for 6 months while you're getting into therapy, the more awareness and tools you build, then we can come off the medication. So even going on medication is not a lifelong sentence. People think, oh, if I go on medication I have to be on that for the rest of my life. For some people that may be true, but for most people it's not. If you are consistent in therapy and you find the right fit and you can improve, you can come off the medication.
And even therapy isn't always forever.
No.
Some people are like short-term bursts, and some people do need a bit more time as well. Let me just close off. We're completely out of time, but I think the key part is, what do we need to do to break the stigma? What do we need to do to get the culture of people taking care of their mental health? If you could just tap into one or low-hanging fruits that we can tackle, what would that be?
Let's get Leon in.
For me, it's just talk.
Exactly.
I hope, I still have a dream. I had this dream when I first came back 14 years ago, that we reach a point in Belize where it's normal to say, oh well, I go and talk to my therapist today. In the US, for me, that was a common thing.
My therapist said,
I go and talk to my therapist today. I hope we reach that point. It's something that I promote a lot with different groups that I encounter, especially within the athletic world, because I do play a lot of sports, that I encourage them, hey, talk about what's happening at home. Talk about you. Talk about your school. Therapy doesn't mean that you have a problem. Sometimes you just need someone to listen.
Just want to communicate,
Exactly. You just want to communicate maybe 1 or 2 sessions and you're good. Get something off your chest. So for me, just talk. Something's bothering you, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, talk about it. Talk to someone about it and let's see if it works. For me, it's about trying. Just try.
All right. Other low-hanging fruit. What can we do today to start to break this?
Have the difficult conversations. Talk. Ask questions. Find somebody in your environment that you can ask questions to. And I just, I make it my I say suicide. Like, say that word. That I know that I keep going back to worst case scenario, but it's because I keep thinking too many people are dying. They're suffering in silence. And the point of Mind Health Connect has always been, you're not alone. Say words like suicide. It's not going to make it happen more. It's actually going to help. Talk about men. Men and women have emotions. We're more expressive as women. But so just talk about it, ask questions, and say the difficult words.
So if I were to answer this question, it would be anybody that you would say, boy, you crazy. Or girl, you really got problems. Anybody you'd say that to, go to Mind Health Connect website. Like if you could say that to somebody else, you can also offer them the website.
Yeah.
If you need somebody to talk to, check them out.
Check out,
You know, see if you find somebody you connect with there.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, again, so you don't have to ask somebody. You can go to Mind Health Connect's website in the privacy of your own computer or your own phone, and you can see who you personally connect with without needing necessarily the validation from anybody else. You can make that personal choice yourself in the privacy of your own space. If you choose to share it, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
Yeah.
So it's private, it's confidential, we're all licensed, and it's there. So if you would be so bold as to tell somebody what's wrong with them, please then also DM them the website.
Yeah.
And there's Bonilla.
The brain has to do with another part of your body.
Yep.
It's just another organ like your heart. So at the end of the day, it also needs attention. So once you can connect to it, all the better.
Wow.
All
right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, very great, very good conversation. And we'd like to thank all of you for joining us this morning to have the conversation. Like Leon said, talk, have the conversation. Be brave enough to do so. You never know how great that will be for you. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to take our final break of the morning. When we come back, we'll be wrapping things up. Oh, we also have a birthday shout out when we come back. We'll see you in a few.
It's almost lunchtime and Alice is getting hungry and forgot to bring cash. She remembers that eCash now has a geolocation feature in which she can easily view the eCash merchants near her, especially restaurants. Her co-workers also ask her to order food for them.
Chicken chow mein, please, and a Coke.
The merchant sends her the payment link, she taps confirm, and within a few minutes, her food is delivered. Alice then views her transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made, then taps the split the bill button where she selects the unevenly option and moves the bar to the desired amount per person. The request is then sent to her friends. Her colleagues accept the request and are ready to enjoy their meals. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash make Alice's life a whole lot easier. My parents always said, when it's time to build, invest in quality products that last a lifetime, even if it means paying a little more. It is now my turn to invest in my own home, and it's not even a question. It has to be Oran Windows. My contractor recommends Oran because of the heavy-duty construction, the thickest gauge blades on the market, and the dual locks that allow lower louvers to close independently for privacy while the top remains open for airflow. These features make Oran aluminum louver windows the best on the market.
With Oran aluminum louver windows, you get strength, durability, and beauty with an added layer of security and protection against debris and damaging winds. Come in and check out the variety of sizes and colors at Design Depot, located at Mile 3 Philip Goldson Highway in Belize City.
I'm always on the go, and the country is my home. So when I want to get away from it all, I immerse myself with my favorite movies, all from the new Smart Stream app. It's easy to use this service. Purchase your movies from the app and use your mobile data, Smart Stream data packages, or smart broadband to stream and enjoy. Be like me and stream on the go with Smart Stream.
And just like that, we've come to the end of our show for today. It was a great one, though. That much I could tell you. Great conversation. And this is exactly where I'd like to stick the pin, Marlene, in terms of having the conversation. That's what we do here in 5. Make sure you get the conversation and be up to date on current affairs, international affairs, and regional affairs. It was a great one.
That's right. We want to thank Minister Mai for joining us, talking about some of the ongoing issues with agriculture. Definitely looking forward to hearing more about what will happen with the beef situation or with the meat situation. And we thank him for providing that update there. Also, Alex Evans performs this weekend in the semifinals of Panorama. Remember, you can help him win in 2 different categories. That's in the People's Choice Award and Best Dressed Award. You just have to go online, find Panorama, Instagram and Facebook, and vote for him there.
You follow them and then you vote for him. Yes,
yeah.
You need to be a follower of their page so you are eligible to vote for Alex. So let's all do that, all right? And of course, it was a great conversation on how to access mental health services in Belize. We want to thank our panel a while ago who joined us. Thank you so very much, as it's always great to have the conversation.
Yeah, so remember, you can go to Mind Health Connect Belize. You can find out about people who offer services. If you're looking for services within the hospital, you can also go to the different the clinics, the public hospitals and clinics, and ask about a psychiatric nurse and how you can get mental health care. And also the counseling center at the hub where Leon was from also offers free counseling service as well. The point is, and I think, you know, Nurse Bania saying it, we take care of everything else. You know, we were worried about our kidneys and our skin and or back and you know, everything. You gotta take care of your brain.
We're not take care of our brain.
You do not have to suffer. If you are suffering right now, you do not have to keep on going this way. And it shows in different ways. It shows in sadness. It shows in irritability. It shows in anger. We all know some angry people that we gotta slide. What did they say? Slide in the DM and send them the links. Just do something and improve your quality of life.
Indeed. Great conversation this morning, like we mentioned, but we've got to go. And just before we do, we have our birthday shout out. And we would like to say a big, big happy birthday to none other than Dalila Ikal. Look at her, beautiful. Dalila has been a part of the media for some years now, indeed. So she's actually one of our colleagues, and we'd like to wish her all the best, and once again, happy birthday to you. Speaking of birthdays.
And so if you would like to, of course, let us know if you want to have a birthday shout out on the show, you can just send us an email.
Send us an email to oye@channel5belize.com.
You can also find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OYE Belize.
You can join us again on, you know, I was just about to say Monday, you know. You can join us tomorrow morning again when you open your eyes.
To start your morning right. Until then, keep your eyes,
your mind,
and your hearts open. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Yep.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank.